Mapaila is taking legal steps against President Jacob Zuma over his controversial cabinet reshuffle at the end of March. Now, speaking in a panel discussion on corruption at Lilliesleaf Farm on Sunday night, Mapaila said Zuma lied to his alliance partner when he fired Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan. And according to Alex Mashilo, the SACP spokesperson, this is not Solly's personal stance, but other organizations, and it was not the first time that the organization actually came out in this matter. Now, joining us for more on this one is spokesperson Alex Mashilo. A very good morning to you, Alex. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you and to the viewers at home.
You're saying that this decision is not actually Solly Mapaila's decision, but that of the SACP. Why do you think it's important to clarify that?
It is very important to clarify that because too often SACP positions are being narrowed down to the individuals who articulate them representing the party. You will remember that after President Jacob Zuma reshuffled the cabinet in March, the South African Communist Party went out to say that it disagreed with the president, particularly the choice that the president made to replace former Minister Pravin Gordhan with Brian Molefe, who was sneaked into parliament without following due processes. And of course, we have seen what happened since then. Brian left parliament. One of the issues which were contentious issues was the so-called intelligence report that the president apparently relied on. The report alleged, in other words, that the former Minister of Finance and Deputy Minister of Finance, Pravin Gordhan and SABC Jonas, were engaged in a regime change agenda. And it was widely reported in the media that this was the reason for their recall from an overseas promotional tour of South Africa, and apparently also used to remove them from those positions that they held.
But the party, the ANC, is distancing itself from that intelligence report.
No, it was not the ANC that claimed to have produced the intelligence report. The ANC is right in distancing itself from that intelligence report. You will recall that after a meeting that was held between the top officials of the SACP and the ANC, at least 3 of ANC officials came out to express their concerns about that intelligence report, and so did SACP officials, including Mapaila on behalf of the party. Okay. The SACP is on record that following that interaction, it wrote to the Inspector General of Intelligence to investigate the origins of that report, who authored that report.
What are the contents of that affidavit that you deposed to the Office of the Intelligence?
As Mapaila did, he did not disclose what is contained in the affidavit. I was in the meeting where we discussed this matter with the Inspector General of Intelligence, and there is a process we agreed to, that we must safeguard the process of investigation. We will therefore not be disclosing what is contained in the affidavit, because we agreed with the Inspector General of Intelligence not to open a parallel investigation, either by means of the media or otherwise. What Mapaila did was simply to confirm that he deposed an affidavit to that effect.
Okay. Now, the SACP has been leading calls for President Zuma to step down. So will the party be voting for or against the motion of no confidence against President Jacob Zuma on the August the 8th in Parliament?
The SACP is not in Parliament.
I mean, the SACP ministers.
The SACP ministers, we don't have SACP ministers, we have ANC ministers. All SACP members who are ministers are there in their capacity as ANC representatives. And in fact, this is one of the issues at heart in the alliance in terms of what we refer to as a reconfigured alliance.
Well, I guess that was my question. Will the SACP ministers, or will the SACP ministers in the alliance, those who are in Parliament, will they be voting for or against the motion of no confidence?
They are there in their capacity as ANC ministers and MPs, and they will take their cue from the ANC. What we have said as the SACP is that the current mode of operation of the alliance is outdated, in terms of which we all go out to campaign for the ANC, but it is the ANC alone, and in fact, even in this case, without even consulting alliance partners, that determines and decides what happens in Parliament, which is why we are calling for this alliance to be reconfigured, so that what is happening in parliament, in government, and throughout the entire state organization is an outcome of the alliance functioning as a political center.
Now, Alex, the SACP has been quite vociferous in calling for President Jacob Zuma to step down, yet 5 of the SACP ministers are still on the ANC's feeding trough. Now, this speaks of a party that is two-faced and a party that is disingenuous in its stance, isn't it?
Not at all. This is not the cabinet of President Jacob Zuma as an individual. I'm sure you are aware that ours is a party political electoral system. President Jacob Zuma did not stand for elections as an individual. Neither did the ANC stand for elections only on behalf of its members. Okay. The ANC stood for elections on behalf of the SACP as an alliance partner, which is why the SACP did not stand for elections. And the ANC, in fact, won elections because of the support it received from its alliance partner. So therefore, this is our collective government. We have our comrades who were murdered, who were arrested, who had to go to exile, fighting for this government. We went out to campaign for this government. This is not the government exclusively, neither of the ANC nor of President Jacob Zuma as an individual. We are serving in our government, not in some private government of an individual or some organization.
Unfortunately, we haven't got much time. We literally have 20 seconds, and I would appreciate if you answered it as briefly as you possibly can. Now, is the SACP still relevant? I mean, I'm talking about a party that talks left and walks right. I'm talking about a party that, a communist party that openly supports a known capitalist in the person of Cyril Ramaphosa.
Yeah, because you are wrong. We never supported Cyril Ramaphosa. We never pronounced our support for him. By the way, we don't even support Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. We don't support any candidate in an ANC presidential race for that matter.
Okay. All right, Alex, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time. Well, that was Alex Mashilo, the spokesperson for the SACP, talking to us about the recent events within their party. Well, Morning Live takes a short break. We'll be right back.